And welcome back to the Zolteus Gaming Channel. I'm your host, Zolteus. Back with another patch note episode of Empire of Sin. So we are now at patch 1.04. And it looks like they've got quite a few. All I have to do is scroll down. That's quite a few fixes, so that's good. We're going to go over a few of these. Obviously, I'm going to touch the highlights. But there's quite a bit of content in here, so I'm gonna go over some of it. I'm not gonna go over all of it. Obviously, that we'd be here forever. But I'm gonna go over some of it. If you have any questions, comment down below, and I'll see if I can't answer any questions that you guys have. But as you can see, we're at 1.04. The highlights is auto resolve. So the big thing that a lot of people were really asking for after this game first came out was auto resolve. They had a function to do that kinda at the beginning, but it was badly underbalanced. So they would recognize that the same number of people attacking your guys always had the attackers always had the advantage if you were defending. And even if it was the same number of guys, that didn't make any sense. So they tweaked that and they reapplied it. And now they've done even more with it in this patch. It's called Auto Resolve. The goal of combat Auto Resolve for Empire of Sin is to create a reliable and useful source of information for the player that appears before every fight. When the player initiates a fight or a faction AI initiates a fight with the player, the Combat Auto Resolve screen will appear. This then shows you information about the fight, participants, their professions, and equipment, as well as a number of options that the player can select. So this is a big thing because it's very easy to see 2-on-2 and be like, oh, okay, well, that should be 50-50. But if the two defending are using brass knuckles and the two attacking are using shotguns, obviously there's going to be a big difference there, right? So, it's good that it shows you that. Additionally, the Safe House healing exploit has now been removed. Passive healing in the safe house is now 2 times normal passive healing rather than instant heal. So that was a big thing that people took advantage of before patch. I think it was before patch 1.03. I think it was still there for the most part in 1.03. But yeah, if you entered your safe house, it was instant heal. Like you didn't just heal up. And we'll actually talk about healing in a little bit. They've tweaked it some more based on difficulty level, but we'll talk about that in a second. So going into combat, first thing I wanted to talk about was this one. Doubled the chance of getting healing items in combat and reduced their cost to buy in the shop by 30%. So I know messing with the economy and buying stuff like that and how you can upgrade your rackets, buy booze, all that kind of stuff, you really have to be careful when you do that kind of thing. However, one of the things that a lot of people noticed, myself included, was if you did it on any kind of, difficulty other than normal or easy, the healing items, you went through them like freaking crazy. And the problem I was having, especially late game, where I was actually trying to beat the game normally and not just rush through bosses, was that I was constantly having to buy healing items. And there were plenty of times where the black market was just sold out of them and I couldn't buy any more. And so it's good to see that they're doubling the chance of getting healing items in combat, but also reduce the cost in the shop by 30%, because a lot of my spending income was going to healing before. So that's good. Additionally, characters not moving back into cover after an Overwatch miss when they stepped out of position is now fixed. So that was an issue that actually caused me a lot of problems in one of the playthroughs that I had, where it was happening almost every single time. It was before 1.03, it was a once in a while it would happen, but in 1.03, I tell you what, it was I got into a safe house fight with another boss, and every single time I'd step out of cover after Overwatch and I would miss, they would just stand there and just get mowed down, and it didn't matter what I did. And it was at one point I just stopped using Overwatch. So it's good that they got that fixed. Next thing I want to talk about, all high-tier doctors now start with the heal ability. So I don't know who brought this up to the developers or if it was just a coincidence that they saw that and said, you know what, we should probably have high-tier doctors start with the heal ability. But dear Lord, like getting high-tier doctors, and of course, you know, you want to customize them. You want to customize how they progress, right? But if I get a top-tier doctor and they don't know how to heal me and I have to train them how to heal me, that just seems wrong. So glad that they did that. Next things I wanted to talk about, and they kind of go hand in hand. Guard inventory improvements. Added healing items to all major faction guards. Removed short-barreled shotguns from shotgun guards. Replaced short-barreled shotguns with primary shotguns. This, to me, is probably the biggest, you know, change as far as combat goes for a game like this. I can appreciate micromanaging these kind of games because this game is meant to be a gangster, you know, crime simulation game. Yes, a decent amount of management is going to have to happen, but I tell you what, every single time I would have one of my buildings attacked, I would constantly be zooming back and forth to all of the places just to make sure I knew which guards were at which places, because the ones that had the shotguns, I was just like, all right, so I can't count them like normal guards because they have to be super close, and even then they miss a bunch. And now that they're getting primary shotguns, this is a big deal for me. Like, I now can potentially treat shotgun guards a little bit better and maybe have a little bit more confidence in an auto resolve, say, or even just taking over the fight and doing it manually. At a minimum, at least I don't have to worry about, oh crap, I'm going to have to get my guys over there, or if I know one of those buildings that has those shotgun guards are going to be attacked, I don't have to worry about stationing a henchman there or something like that just to give me a chance. This makes it a little bit better. Racket guard improvements. Improve the marksman ability of all tiers of racket guards by plus 10. That means they're actually going to hit more often. Now, understand, this probably works both ways, right? So now the guards that you're attacking are going to hit you more often, but at a minimum, defense is going to be a little bit better. So that's good. I'm definitely excited about that. Next, I wanted to talk about, like I had said at the beginning, adjusted starting cash based on difficulty. So another thing that was adjusted based on difficulty. Now, I thought it was weird that we got the same starting money regardless of what difficulty we were on. And additionally, depending on, you know, what you did and how you did in the tutorial, sometimes you'd start with more money just by doing the tutorial, and that just seemed weird. But this isn't based on tutorial, it's based on difficulty. So your starting cash is different based on difficulty. Now, I haven't gone in and checked to see if it's more or less, but either way, something like this tells me that if it's on a harder difficulty, chances are you're starting with less money, and that makes sense. The whole point of it being a harder difficulty is it's supposed to be more difficult from beginning to end, whether it's combat, whether it's, you know, missions, any of that. Supposed to be harder. I like that. That's a good addition in my opinion. And the next thing I'm going to talk about, which will be the last thing in combat, but added basic combat personalities to bosses and gangsters. I always thought this was something that the game lacked. The bosses and the gangsters, because the gangsters are henchmen, right? the bosses are the bosses for, everyone that you're competing against. When you talk to them in diplomacy or when you have your first meetup and all that kind of stuff, yes, they have very specific lines. They say specific things, and I think that's great. But in combat, they were just, it's almost like they functioned on AI alone. They didn't have their own scripts that, determined their combat, let's call it modes, their combat wants, needs, preferences. They just acted like normal people. So I'm not gonna have anything bad to say about this. And to be perfectly honest, any change for this will be good. So looking forward to that. Moving on to UI. Added greet to boss intro pop-ups. So hopefully this is what I think it is, and you don't always have to say, yes, I'll meet you, or no, screw off, or start war. Like, now we can just say, hi, how you doing? And maybe not necessarily have a meetup. That will be great. If you've seen any of my videos where I go over that stuff, every single time it's just like, yeah, okay, we'll meet up. And then half the time I don't even get to the meetups just because I'm trying to do all the other stuff. So this is awesome. The only other thing in UI that I wanted to talk about was added discuss option to the diplomacy tab. So what I'm hoping this does is add some personality to diplomacy. Diplomacy, while had a lot of goodness to it, it was dry. There wasn't a whole lot to experiment with. Hopefully adding this will add that personality to the diplomacy aspect of the game. So looking forward to this. All right, now moving on to missions. First thing I want to talk about with mission is mission critical NPCs now fall unconscious if they are involved in other combats rather than dying and getting up when you need to talk to them. If we had zombies, they wouldn't snitch. So I really don't know how to feel about this, to be honest. If we wanted the game to be realistic, I mean, anyone who's played Fallout 3, guess what? I mean, if you're playing it, really any of the Fallouts, there are ways to set it to where, guess what? Sometimes you can kill a quest giver, an NPC that is involved with a quest, and if you do that, then you just don't do those quests. You either don't have the option to either initiate them or you fail them. And this is supposed to be a gangster simulation, right? Crossfire. Sometimes people get hit, and it's unfortunate, and it should just be a part of the game. I have mixed feelings about this one. On one end, yes, I don't want to fail. I don't want to fail missions. No one wants to fail missions, right? But I guess it just takes out some of that realistic. Maybe you can call it immersion if you want, but I don't know. Tell me what you guys think. Do you guys think that this is a big deal, or it doesn't really matter? I personally, not a fan. But either way, the only other thing in missions that I'm going to talk about, added warning to mole event if making that gangster a mole will fail their personal mission. So the problem that I was having when I was doing playthroughs of this is that wasn't a thing. And their personal missions would fail halfway through them being a mole. And here's the even sadder part is sometimes I wouldn't even hear about it. Like, I had no idea. I'd get them back, and then I'd be like, why is their personal mission failed? Like, why am I not able to finish this now? I mean, I get it. They have to be a mole for a long period of time, and sometimes, that's not necessarily immersive, if you want to call it that, to completing something that they gave you 6 months game time previous. But at least give the warning saying, hey, if you do this, you're not going to be able to get to this portion of their personal mission, which means you'll probably fail it. I like that. I think that's probably one of the good things that they added as far as mission goes. All right, next to general. Got a few of the things I want to talk to in general. So here's what I was talking about from the very beginning. Passive healing is now removed for difficulties above lieutenant. So you can still play on lieutenant and get passive healing, but now passive healing is gone for difficulties above that. So now if you want to heal, you actually have to use healing items, or you have to use healing abilities. Now, fortunately, if you have a doctor and you have healing ability, you can just put yourself in combat, use the heal, and then take yourself out of combat. Whether or not that's not a thing anymore, I haven't seen it. I've been able to do that. But now you don't just heal between, fights. You actually have to do the healing yourself. I think that adds a little bit more more realistic aspect to the game, and I like that. So I wanted to talk about that. Additionally, the game now randomly unlocks one gangster from each tier every month and makes them hireable on start. Once again, one of the big reasons why we play this game or games like this is replayability. Doing something like this adds even more, variety to replayability. So that's one of the big things that I like in general. Next thing I'm going to talk about, factions must wait at least 2 minutes in world time before breaking pacts they've formed. This has been a huge pain in my side. A majority of my playthroughs, I have had times where I have made a pact with a faction, and then they, at that point, realize, oh, you're at war with someone that I don't like, immediately break the pact, and then I look on my screen and it shows that I have a negative because of a broken pact, and I'm just like, really? And I know that a lot of that was fixed in 1.03, but now at a minimum, they'll wait at least 2 minutes in world time. So, 2 minutes in game time before they'll break a pact, whereas it was literal seconds after I'd form a pact. They would come back and be like, oh, yeah, by the way, I'm starting war against this guy and I don't like you anymore. Like, come on. Are you kidding me? So glad that's been added. Additionally, we have reduced the cost to buy and upgrade rackets by 50%. So this is another one of those things where it kind of affects the economy. It also allows you guys to upgrade and protect yourselves better, quicker. If it makes gameplay more interesting, I'm all for it. I think this will make gameplay interesting. I also think it will change strategies. And, that's... If anyone plays Diablo, any of the Diablo games, especially Diablo 3, with all the stuff they do with their seasons, they're constantly changing this kind of stuff just to make, just to change people's thought processes and normals on strategy. So I'm all for this. I'm curious to play it now to see how that affects my play style. Next thing. Characters now shut the hell up when the game is paused. That may not be the game-changing thing you guys are looking for, but I tell you what, it gets real annoying real quick. If I have to pause something because I need to do something else, I can still just hear characters constantly talking. I'm just, oh my gosh, and I have to turn down the volume on my computer. And it shouldn't be like that. When you pause the game, people should just stop moving and shut the hell up. Now, we have that. And the last thing I'm going to talk about is the thing that's right below this. It's a very interesting one to end on, but it was the weirdest thing when I would play any of the people, especially the one with Lion Tamer. I'm trying to remember which boss that was, but off the top of my head, it's just not coming. I don't play with her very often, but anytime she would rope someone and pull them to her, she would yell out the expletive, not the person being grabbed and being pulled. And I just thought that was the most comical thing that I had ever heard. Now, hey, that's fixed. Glad to see it. Doesn't necessarily, add anything, special to the game, but, at least they're finding these errors and they're fixing them. I thought that was amusing. I wanted to share that with you guys. So that's going to be it for patch 1.04 for Empire of Sin. Let me know if there's anything you guys want me to do with Empire of Sin, if there's any strategies you guys want me to post, any personal mind. I'm not some e-game. I can't. I'm not in the major leagues. I'm not MLG or anything like that. But I like these kind of games. I like formulating strategies for these kind of games. So if there's anything you guys want me to post for Empire of Sin, you just let me know, and I will do it. But that's gonna do it for this episode. Like and subscribe for more content. And as always, I'll see you in the next video.